There is an undeclared war in the Sahel, involving not just locals but Russia, France, China, and the United States. Right in the thick of it is Wagner, a private military company with ties to the Kremlin. The mercenaries have set up shops in Mali, Burkina Faso, and the Central African Republic. They're aiding rebel forces in Chad and Sudan, while in Libya, they're curbing oil exports to Europe. Still more, in Ivory Coast, Wagner has set up a base for informational warfare, propagating disinformation across the continent. The result? French flags are burned, while Russian flags are hoisted. Wagner is estimated to have around 5,000 troops across Africa, and its contractors control strategic sites and mineral deposits while denying those same resources to geopolitical rivals. Wagner is laying down strong roots, so much so that it even considered creating a confederation of African states stretching from Guinea to Eritrea. China, meanwhile, is taking note and looking to join the winning team so that it can continue to do business. But Wagner's CEO, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has even bigger plans. He's using the PMC as a springboard to score points with Vladimir Putin. But while Prigozhin climbs the political hierarchy, incompatible interests ingrain proxy conflicts, subversion, and brinkmanship. In this type of game, everyone is replaceable. Skillful maneuvering and compromise is thus the order of business, because politics is not the pursuit of perfection, but the art of the second best. It feels a world away, but Africa's future will decide the fate of the global economy. The massive continent holds a shocking 1/3 of the world's wealth in minerals, vital components in essential products made by the biggest technology companies in the world. These same companies are the only thing keeping the S&P 500 from plunging into the red. A reversal that erased $500 billion last time it occurred, wiping out the retirement and saving accounts of everyday people. However, now we can prepare just like CEOs and billionaires who are currently moving huge sums into the markets shielded from this turmoil. Like fine art, a market surpassing even its pre-pandemic levels. Now, I've used Masterworks to get my piece of the art market for over a year, and their results have only gotten better with time. 13 exits to date, each returning a profit, with recent net returns of 10, 13, and even 35%. Masterworks has a waitlist, as paintings can sell out in minutes, but I've been a partner and investor for so long, you'll get priority access right now at the link below. South of the Sahara is a stretch of land known as the Sahel. It spans from Senegal to Eritrea and is home to 100 million people. The dozen states constituting the Sahel are plagued by political instability, economic crises, military coups, separatist conflicts, and jihadism. Crucially, most Sahel states are former French colonies, and thus remain subject to French influence by other means. In 2013, France led a 15,000-strong multilateral intervention in Mali, contributing 5,000 troops itself. The goal was to stabilize Mali and counteract ethnic Tuareg rebels and jihadists. Less loudly though, the operation sought to secure access to uranium deposits in neighboring Niger, crucial for France's energy needs. But as time wore on, France's presence irked the locals. Macron, who promised to pursue African relations on equal footing, could not shake off France's imperial baggage. And with thousands of deaths, 350,000 displaced, and 3 military coups, France's intervention was anything but a triumph. Sensing weakness, Assimi Goïta took power in the country in 2021. Initially pro-Western, Goïta switched sides once in office. The result was the expulsion of French forces from Mali. Enter Wagner. Since 2017, Russian private military contractors have drummed up anti-French sentiment to present Russia as an anti-imperial alternative. And even though these claims don't hold any water, they have gained some footing because, so far as Africa is concerned, Russia lacks the colonial stigma attached to France. Yet Wagner is a very much profit-based enterprise. Its CEO, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has an unconventional background in organized crime. But Wagner's connection to the criminal underworld also runs down the chain of command. Up to 4/5 of its personnel are drawn from Russian prisons, with many closely tied to the Russian far right. In Africa, Prigozhin's objectives go beyond just finances. The primary goal is to gain political capital at the Kremlin by disrupting Western interests in Africa. Wagner thus pursues Russian state interests, but on an autonomous level, which gives the Kremlin plausible deniability while making Wagner an indispensable component in Russian politics. On the ground, Wagner provides site security, information warfare, and private intelligence work. This way of doing business goes hand in hand with African governments looking for a no-strings-attached partnership. Some estimates place the number of Russian mercenaries at 5,000 troops, just shy of America's 6,000. Not surprisingly, policymakers in both Washington and Brussels are anxious. When France withdrew from Mali, Wagner filled the power vacuum. Today, some 1,400 Wagner contractors support the local government. They provide aircraft and aerial radars, but also lawyers and geologists to facilitate resource extraction. Wagner is then reimbursed by selling Malian gold via middlemen in Dubai. This partnership between Mali and Wagner is holding firm, even when the latter was accused of massacring 300 civilians in the town of Moara in March 2022. Elsewhere in the Sahel, Wagner is giving the competition a run for their money. In Burkina Faso, Wagner contractors have acquired mining rights and are closely associated with interim president Ibrahim Traoré, who came to power in a coup in 2022. By joining forces, Traoré and Wagner managed to expel French diplomats and media from the country. Meanwhile, in Chad, Wagner allied with FACT rebels trying to overthrow the federal government. Chad is especially troublesome because of its central location. Any conflict here will quickly spill over into the wider periphery. A leaked intelligence document from the Wall Street Journal shows that Wagner contemplated creating a confederation of African states stretching from Guinea to Eritrea, with Chad as its base of operations. Still more, in Sudan, Wagner contractors oversee mining sites and smuggle untaxed gold abroad. Wagner also has close ties to General Hemeti, and the outbreak of conflict in Sudan could open the country to further Russian influence. To the southwest, in the Central African Republic, Wagner has been involved in the civil war since 2021, with the primary goal being to secure gold deposits and suppress local resistance. But when zooming out, the big picture is revealed. By controlling strategic sites and mining deposits in Chad, Sudan, and the Central African Republic, Wagner aims to create a corridor from the Sahel onto the mineral trading hub of Dubai. If successful, it would grant Russia exclusive access to Sahel resources. But that's not the end of it. Further north, in Libya, Wagner has around 2,000 mercenaries spread across the country. Their goal is to undermine the international recognized government in Tripoli, which happens to be allied with Turkey. By undermining the Turkish-backed Tripoli government, Wagner looks to stifle oil exports to Europe. In the meantime, in Ivory Coast, Wagner-associated groups have set up a hub for informational warfare. They aim to propagate Russian misinformation across the continent and undermine French influence. It's a soft power program with deadly proficient results. French flags have been burnt in Mali, Chad, Congo, etc., while Russian statues are raised depicting Wagner mercenaries protecting women and children. Wagner's anti-French sentiment is now also making inroads into the Democratic Republic of Congo, the mother of all proxy conflicts. Prigozhin's political climb seems to be paying off. He landed an organizer role at the most recent Russia-Africa summit, while in Ukraine, Wagner's performance gave Prigozhin the political weight to confront and discredit the Russian military command. Drunk on victory, Prigozhin is looking to establish himself as one of the top power brokers of Russia. Along the way, some elbow grease might be necessary. But if he crosses a red line by directly going against Putin, Prigozhin may meet an unnatural end. The African network he helped set up, however, will continue. But not everything goes according to plan. Wagner has seen plenty of blowback in recent years. French troops have been redeployed to Niger, backed by German and American personnel, and frankly, they have to. Niger's uranium powers 3 out of 4 French light bulbs. France can't afford to lose Niger, and will do whatever it takes to keep the lights on. Wagner has also proven itself ill-suited when combating more motivated opponents such as jihadists. For instance, in 2019, Mozambique hired Wagner to eliminate jihadist groups in exchange for oil and gas concessions. But poor planning, misplaced priorities, and miscommunication resulted in the capture of the Russian mercenaries. The Mozambique contract was terminated soon thereafter. The blowback in Niger and Mozambique shows that Wagner struggles when faced with better organized combatants. There's a lesson here. Europe is engaging Africa to secure hydrocarbon supplies and rare earth minerals. Local powers, small and large, are rushing to create new corridors. Nigeria, which currently meets 14% of Europe's energy needs, wants to become Europe's main gas supplier. And there's plenty of room for growth since Nigeria Bonny Island LNG terminal only operates at 60% capacity. Relatedly, Algeria and Morocco are each trying to get an exclusive deal with Nigeria to establish energy routes going towards Europe. Morocco, for instance, is pushing for an offshore pipeline that runs across 13 African countries before plunging into Europe. The project has a total length of 5,600 kilometers, but it may take up to 25 years to come online. Algeria, however, argues for an alternative pipeline that goes overland, passing the Sahel and the Sahara altogether. According to the Algerians, their 4,100-kilometer project could be operational in just 3 years. Either way, these geo-economic projects imply more extensive European commitments in Africa. But the presence of Wagner in the vicinity poses a danger that cuts both ways. Wagner could undermine the pipelines in West and North Africa, but not without exposing itself to collective retribution from Nigeria, Morocco, Algeria, plus the European Union. Nor is Europe the only game in town. China outtrades the UK, the US, and France in the French-speaking part of Africa. Nowadays, France only accounts for 5% of trade with its former African colonies, down from 25% 3 decades ago. Even so, China's investments in the Sahel require military backing. Its base in Djibouti is too far away. So, in the coming years, some arrangement could take shape where Wagner protects Chinese assets on the ground. It would be an arrangement that would mirror the Russia-China alliance taking form in Eurasia, an alliance where Wagner is set to play a unique role. For African nations, meanwhile, caught up in this inevitable clash of global interests, the best course of action will be to play all camps against one another while limiting the prospects for open conflict. Above all, the key is to avoid hard commitments that cannot be wound back. A society can maintain composure so long as things go according to plan, even if the plan itself is terrifying. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. If you found this video useful, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. And for additional perks, check out our Patreon platform. In any case, thank you for your time and Sahel.